If you took all the pages that this publishing house has printed and you put them end to end, they would pave all the way to Saturn and back again. That's around 2.5 billion kilometers. It's a lot of paper and I guess a lot of former trees. Well, we'll visit that publishing house today and much more on Global Mission Snapshots.
Just before he went up to heaven, Jesus gave us a command. He gave us a mission. Jesus said, "Go. Go unto all the world, telling them of His love." This is our mission. This is our global mission.
Hello, I'm Gary Krause and welcome to Global Mission Snapshots. Today we travel to Russia to meet a young man who believes it's vitally important to live a drug-free life. His example is a striking contrast to many other students his age, and he's actually gained the respect of friends who've started going to church with him and they're learning about the Bible. We'll also visit a Life Hope Center, an urban center of influence right in the heart of Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. And we'll meet a one-year in mission volunteer to New York City who's now back home training other volunteers to reach people in the cities. All this, much more, so buckle your seatbelts. Our first stop is Russia.
The Seventh-day Adventist message entered the Euro-Asia region very early in a miraculous way. In the early days, new converts to America sent tracts back to their relatives and friends in Russia. This made a precious impact upon key figures at the time. The church grew slowly from 1880 to 1990. It was only 110 years later, after perestroika or the restructuring, that the religious persecution ceased and the church was able to officially organize. In Russia, the church continues to use literature as a means of spreading the good news. The Source of Life publishing house prints many books, magazines, and other pieces of literature. Their mission is to empower members for better service and to bring many more to a deeper understanding of the Bible.
We are distributing books around the world to where there are Russian communities. We sell books to Europe, Israel, the United States, South America, and other parts of the world. We're producing about 40 new books each year. We produce mostly in Russian and 5 other different languages. As far as quantities is concerned, there are some interesting statistics. If you count the pages we have produced since the beginning, it would pave the way to Saturn back and forth. It's around 2.5 billion kilometers. We have a big perspective for the future.
Although the machinery here is more than 20 years old and the workers aren't enough for the demand, the staff aims high. The goal to evangelize the world is always in mind.
We exist to support church mission. All that we produce is aimed to support the church to succeed in the mission field.
Right next door to the publishing house is Zaoski. Zaoski Adventist Seminary has emerged from years of strict communist rule. After numerous petitions to the Soviet authorities, the Seventh-day Adventist Church was given permission to open a 3-year course for training ministers. In 1998, Zaoski opened as the first Protestant seminary in Russian history.
The students who first came to the seminary were overjoyed to begin study. In the beginning, there was just theology, but soon new programs were added and the school grew.
Today, Zaoski enrolls more than 600 students. In addition to religion, business, language, music, and agriculture programs are offered. Zaoski also offers classes from kindergarten to high school. Anton is a theology student here. After leaving the church for many years, he was rebaptized and dedicated his life to teaching Bible.
There is a special atmosphere here. The teachers will support the students, and we live here as one family.
Hina's parents came here as missionaries from Korea. They are working in the area as Hina studies the Russian and English languages.
I like it very much because the nature is beautiful. People are kind, and this is our church school with a wholesome Christian education.
The university recently completed 20 years of service, and they continue to make an impact in this region. Zaoski is located about 80 miles south of Russia's capital. Moscow is the largest city in the Eurasia region, with a population of more than 11 million people and the world-famous buildings like the Kremlin, St. Basil's Cathedral, the State Historical Museum, and Lenin's Mausoleum. The city is full of sights and life. From crowded streets and parks to tall buildings and luxurious lifestyles, there is a lot to encounter here.
Next, we travel to the former Soviet Union, and more specifically to Ukraine. And to tell us about that area of the world is Gina Wallin. Gina, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Gina, here we have a couple of magazines, Children's Mission, Youth and Adult Mission. Within the Adventist Church, we know these as the Mission Quarterlies.
That's right.
And you edit these magazines, and you get stories from all around the world. What does it make you feel like when you listen to someone who is telling you how their life has been changed by Jesus Christ?
It is a wonderful privilege, Gary. I love going around the world and talking with people whose lives have been changed by Jesus. And recently, I was in the former Soviet Union countries. I was in Russia and Ukraine, and I met some amazing people there.
Now, for you, this was almost like going home because you served there for some years.
That's right. We were there, our family, from 1992 to 1998, teaching at the seminary in Zaoksky, Russia, which is about 75 miles south of Moscow.
Okay, so we're going to Ukraine. Tell me a story from there.
Oh, Ukraine. Well, I met a young man named Vladimir, and he told me the most amazing story. Vladimir, he grew up alone with his mom. His dad was out of the picture when he was only 3 years old, and they had very little resources. They lived in a very small apartment, didn't have enough money for food or electricity. His mother became very depressed and in fact decided she wanted to commit suicide. She made plans. She would send Vladimir off to an orphanage, and then she would take her life. The day came, she looked at Vladimir, and she couldn't do it. She just hugged him, cried, and decided she was going to try to make it through. So for the next few years, they eked out an existence. She worked at a cafe. Things were going okay. Vladimir turned 12 years old, and again, she went into a deep depression, decided, this is it, I just cannot continue any longer. I was going to commit suicide. And a friend came up and invited her to a concert that was being held at a Seventh-day Adventist church. And she liked music, and she thought, well, it wouldn't hurt to go. So she decided to go with her friend. This concert changed her life. A beautiful concert on the life of Christ with narration in between the songs. After that concert, she came home and she told Vladimir, you know, I learned today that there is a God who loves us and who cares about us. And I want to know more about this God. Vladimir was excited. He could see a real change in his mother. Her face just lit up. And she said, what I think we need to do is get a Bible, but I don't know where. And can you imagine not knowing where to get a Bible? It's so easy for us, you know. I've had a Bible since I was a child. I'm sure you probably did too. But here these people are, where can they get a Bible? Well, a few weeks went by, and Vladimir's mom came home one day. I found where we can get a Bible. Vladimir was excited. Just one problem. It wasn't cheap. It would cost 2 weeks of her wages.
Wow.
And that meant no money for food. You know, what are they going to do? So she approaches Vladimir. Here's the situation. What do you think? Think we can go without food for 2 weeks in order to get this Bible? And Vladimir said, yes. Now here's a 12-year-old boy willing to go without food for 2 weeks so he and his mom can have a Bible. you know. And so that's what
It's
they
sobering,
did.
isn't it?
It is, it is. So they bought the Bible. They were hungry for food, but their hunger for the Word, for Jesus, was satisfied. And every day they read that Bible. Their lives were completely changed. They learned more about God. They started studies with a Seventh-day Adventist pastor and were later baptized.
Fantastic. You know, when you look at places that were communist countries, former communist countries, that hunger for the Word of God, today it seems that materialism has crept in a little bit more, and it's a bit more challenging now.
That's right. Back then, the countries were just coming out of communism. Things were wide open. Today, it's different. There is a lot more materialism, not so much a hunger for the Word, but there are still people seeking,
Yeah.
and we're finding ways to reach those people.
Now, when you were at Zaoksky, you were teaching young people who now have become leaders, I guess, in that region.
That's right. We were privileged to teach people from all over the Soviet Union, and those people now have gone back. They're leaders throughout the Euro-Asia division. Some are teaching there at Zaoksky, and from time to time we get to see them again, and it is really like going home. When we go back to Russia, Ukraine, it's great. It's a privilege.
Now, did you have kids when you were serving there?
Yes, our eldest, Daniel, was 9 months old when we
Okay.
went over there, and so he grew up there, and he went to first grade there in Zaoksky, and then our last year there we had our second child, Heather.
Oh,
so she
fantastic.
spent her first year there.
Fantastic. Well, Gina, thank you so much for sharing with us. And these magazines, viewers at home, if you don't attend an Adventist church and you don't hear these stories every weekend, you can actually find them on our website. How do they find that, Gina?
Just simply go to our website, adventistmission.org, go under resources, and they can find both of these magazines, the adult and youth, the children's, just right there under resources, as well as DVDs of many of these same stories.
Fantastic. So adventistmission.org for many stories, pictures, videos about mission around the world. Don't go away. We'll be back right after a short break. Welcome back to Global Mission Snapshots. I'm talking with Yarli Simon, who is the producer of this program. Welcome, Yarli. We're talking about Euro-Asia, but I also want to talk about a mission initiative called 1 Year in Mission. Tell me about that.
1 Year Mission is part of the focus of the church into entering the cities and reaching people in the cities. And this is a program where 13 people have been selected from all over the world. They come from each division, each region of the world, and they met in New York for 6 months. It's 1 year because they'll spend 6 months in New York, and then they'll take what they learned there and will bring that back home and teach other leaders so that they can keep passing the knowledge on.
Right, and so these, well, actually was 14, including a representative from the Middle East. These 14 people came to New York, and the idea is that this will now multiply as other young people give a year of their life.
That's right. And as I was visiting Euro-Asia, I met Anna. Anna was one of the people who were selected for the 1 Year mission. She had a very interesting story. She went to a very good school in Russia. It was a state school, and she knew that God had led her there for the studies. and she's now was graduating. She was ready to go out, and she was excited to put her knowledge to work, and so she applied everywhere, sent resumes all over the place, and she expected to get a job quickly, but that wasn't the case. She tried, and even though she had qualifications, the studies were there, she couldn't get a job, and she didn't understand why. So she began to pray. She knelt down and said, Lord, please help me find a job, you know. I know you've led me up to here. I know you've led me to school, and my diploma's here. What do I do with this now? And as she prayed, she encountered the youth director for her conference. And they started talking and sharing ideas. She shared her experience. She was looking for a job. And he remembered the one-year mission project. So he mentioned that to her and said, well, you should apply, you know. There's probably a lot of people applying. There's only one person that will go and represent our division, but you should apply. And she did. She didn't expect much of it. And I don't know how much later she got a call from him saying, you know, you've been the one selected to go represent us. So she was super excited. And she went to New York, spent 6 months there. And what they did is, when they got there, they received a lot of training in medical missionary work, evangelism, you know, door-to-door approach, and how to give Bible studies and pray with people, and communication skills, and a bunch of other things. And they didn't only get lectures, but they actually were encouraged to put that into practice. So the 14 people got together and said, what do we do now to connect with the community? And what they did was they would go door to door in their neighborhood and ask people if they had any needs, if they wanted to be prayed for. And they would even stop people in the street, give them hugs if they wanted to, and pray with them. And they just started really interacting with the community, you know, trying to spend time with them and befriend them. And when they did that, they got names, contacts. They started doing cooking classes, stop smoking programs, and a few other things just to help the community, you know. And all those ideas that they've got there, and some others, they were able to bring back to their region. And Anna was super excited because she learned a bunch of things that now she was trying in her area. And some of these things were things that people would think of them as, nah, this won't work here. But they tried it anyway. And it's amazing, those things are working. And not only working in bringing more people to the church, but as they train others in their region, they're also trying new ideas and passing this knowledge on. And this worked like a springboard, you know, to a whole bunch of leaders that came out of one program in New York City.
Fantastic. Now, how long will she be working as a volunteer back home?
The project was 6 months in New York, 6 months in her region, but this is volunteer work, so she can continue on if that's what she wants to do.
Now, I had a couple of days up in New York with these young people, and tremendous young people, variety of backgrounds, and we spent a couple of days talking about Christ's method of ministry. And I think the holistic method of ministry is really the only way that we are going to have any success whatsoever in the cities.
And that's one of the things that I think they took away as well. It's that personal touch in relating to people. We often hear that verse, you know, go you into all the world. Sometimes we think, oh, I'll just send a book, I'll send a donation, or I'll send a TV program. But that's one thing that I felt from Anna. She really got that she needs to be involved. She needs to be the one to go, to spend time with people, to meet their needs and to befriend them. And only then you can safely ask someone to follow Jesus after they know you, they trust you, you want their confidence.
Now, when you were visiting in the Eurasia region, you know, when the fall of communism came, it seemed like people were very open to hearing the Christian message, and the Seventh-day Adventist Church had many baptisms, etc. Today, it seems that secularism, materialism is pretty dominant. How did you find things?
That you've put it very well. The church is working hard to reach the people in the city. One thing that struck me quite a bit was when I arrived there, you see this beautiful church buildings, cathedrals, and mosques and the like. And the Adventist Church doesn't have a lot of those big buildings. So it really comes down to the level where you have to befriend people and interact with them. They're not going to come to the Adventist Church because of what we have to present as far as structures and buildings.
Right.
But the church is growing. I met a couple of mafia people who are former mafia guys.
I'm glad they were former.
And these are not the typical guys like my size. These are big guys with scars, and you can see that they really had a tough life. But the church is reaching to those individuals as well as other individuals in many different ways.
Well, it's perhaps not a bad thing that we don't have too many of the big structures, because it takes us back to the New Testament model where the church grew, meeting in people's homes. It wasn't because they were coming to some magnificent cathedral.
Right, right.
Well, Yali, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us that story.
My pleasure.
And viewers at home, please pray for the young people involved in the 1 Year in Mission program. Going to New York City, they had the opportunity to hear a lot of things, to pray a lot, to actually be involved in various models of ministry. And now they're back home putting Christ's method into practice, where they're mingling with people, they're showing sympathy, they're ministering to needs, they're winning confidence, and they're leading people to Jesus Christ. If you want to find out more about Adventist Mission and 1 Year in Mission, you can go to our website at adventistmission.org. Don't go away, we'll be right back after this break.
The Euro-Asia region covers the greatest territory and embraces a total of 11 time zones. Here you can visit 13 countries. Some of them are Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Ukraine, and Uzbekistan. By population, Euro-Asia is the second smallest of the denomination's 13 world regions. In a population of approximately 280 million, there are only about 170,000 church members, with more than 45% living in the country of Ukraine. The majority of Ukraine's population lives in urban areas. Presently, 70% of the population lives in cities. Despite a busy lifestyle, many in the metropolitan crowd still have a desire for something that will truly fulfill them. For this reason, the Adventist Church is emphasizing the method that Jesus used. It's essential to connect one-on-one with people, to befriend them and win their trust. Anna Gavello spent 6 months exploring tangible approaches in New York City. Now she is training local volunteer missionaries in her region.
I have a really great team here. They came from all over our division, and they are ready to work here, and they are ready to go back and to preach the gospel.
We took from New York the best ideas and things that we saw and tried to apply over here, plus own ideas, own projects, and now we see how it's work, and it worked excellent.
Jesus met the people where they were and provided for their needs. Therefore, centers of influence are established here to meet needs. A good example is the Adventist Christian Medical Center, located just a few miles from the center of Kiev. Center volunteers encounter the community in the street. They invite them to learn healthy cooking, how to stop smoking, manage stress, and offer a variety of other classes. Today, they are preparing a meal to show their new friends the flavorful taste of healthy living. This center of influence is mainly developing as a hospital. There will be many rooms for patients, doctors, and a variety of treatments.
First success that we see now, this is a really good relationship with our neighbors. You see that a lot of big buildings with a lot of people who lives here. In 7 minutes of walking, more than 15,000 people living here, and more than 60% of our neighbors, these people now already coming to our health promotion programs for consultations, including addictions, including problems with losing weight, including with depression, and etc.
The community around the center understands the genuine interest in improving their lives, and they come to learn about life and hope. As the faithful members seek for ways to connect and touch lives, the Lord opens doors in this region. Recently, the Ukrainian government granted Hope Channel the first Protestant TV license in the country.
We can see a great development. Actually, you have these 5 major cities of Ukraine with the Hope Channel on cable, great companies, and more than 40 cities receive the signal through cable. But of course, through satellite, everybody can watch Hope Channel.
Hope Channel Ukraine now broadcasts on some 600 cable channels, reaching 60% of the country's population. The people of Russia can also watch the TV channel. There are many programs offered in the Russian language. We live in a rapidly developing world. People make progress in all fields of human activities. Our city changes, our life changes, but our faithfulness and commitment to mission should never be forgotten.
I'm here because I know that God wants me to be here, and I love Him and He loves me, and I know that He loves so many people here, but they don't know Him. So I want them to be happy too, and I want all of us to be together with Him as fast as possible.
Please pray for the faithful members in the Euro-Asia region. Pray that the Lord will give them the tools that will help them overcome their challenges.
We need Adventist consecrated specialists, people who love their Lord. As Christ said, a lot of harvest, but small reapers, and this is our great need. And I'm asking World Church to pray about this.
We have many faithful church members in the Eurasia division, 170,000. We have more than 1,300 pastors, and we have about 50 missionaries coming from other countries and serving in this division, because the Lord will multiply those efforts, those prayers, and those financial resources to reach the people with the gospel of hope. And only in heaven you will see the wonderful result of people saved by your commitment.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed our snapshots of mission around the world. From the vast territories of Russia to cities in Ukraine, people are experiencing the light of Jesus' love. If you've enjoyed the stories you've seen today, you'll love our Mission 360 DVD. And if you live in North America, we'd love to send you a free copy of this DVD. Just call the toll-free number on your screen, or you can visit our website at adventistmission.org and just ask for the free Mission 360 DVD. Please pray for the people and places that you've seen here, for the many frontline mission workers working around the globe. And thank you so much for your continuing financial support of Global Mission that helps make so much of this possible. I'm Gary Krause, and I hope you can join me next time right here on Global Mission Snapshots.